Hi guys, welcome back to the Finding Something Real podcast. I'm here with Frankie, one of the co-hosts from season 8, and we are back for part 2 of our little recap series for the summer. Do you want to say hi, Frankie?
Hey.
We're also joined with our little friend Finn.
Yes.
He's a dog that's right there. And I'm dog sitting, but he's really excited that Frankie's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but last time that we were here, we talked about some of our favorite episodes from the season, and we're just gonna continue in doing that, and we're gonna do a little bit more of a recap from some of our favorite episodes. So yeah, it should be a fun conversation. So do you want to start? Or do you want me to start?
You can start.
Yeah, I can start
last time.
Okay. I think the most recent one that comes to mind that I would love to talk about is the one that came out last week with Lydia Dykes. Yes, I think I briefly mentioned it last time because I think last week it had come out. It was really interesting. It was really cool. I would have loved to be in that one, but it was at 5 a.m, and I'm like, that's a hard no for me. I'm so sorry. But it was a really cool conversation to listen to afterwards, and I think it was really impactful. We had 4 co-hosts in that. We had Janine, which she was the one that requested her, so it's just cool that she got to actually interview her. Janine, Christy, Caitlin, and Sarah, which is honestly a pretty good set, I would say. It's like a really good set of people. But they talked about the tension of suffering. Both Janine and Lydia have chronic illness. I don't know. Lydia didn't go too much into her story, but just that she's currently living with a chronic illness. And the dialogue that her and Janine, it was mostly Janine and her talking because they're just able to relate in another level, because of that. But the title of the episode was called God, Do You Even See Me? And I feel like that's kind of like the perspective that they were coming from, not from a place of like, God is so bad, like why is this happening to me? But it's like they're trying to follow God, like they've not left the faith, which honestly that says a lot about their faith walk. They've not left the faith. They're trying to be faithful. They're still believing God can do the miracle, and they believe that God can heal them. But at the same time, they wrestle with the tension of like living in the in-between and like their healing not happening yet. And sometimes they felt they talked about hope, and hope has been really interesting to me this last couple years. But I think they've both really wrestled. They both have really wrestled with hope, and because sometimes it can feel like I don't know, kind of like what's the reason to hope in the first place? Because it kind of makes it like the disappointment even it feels like a harder fall whenever they do fall, because then it makes it like it kind of feels like God is teasing them, even though that's not the case. It can feel like that when we're in the middle of a trial. But yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation. Did you get a chance to listen to it?
I have not.
You have not? Okay. No. Well, I'll love to hear your thoughts afterwards.
Yeah.
But it was really cool too to have Caitlin on that, because she honestly didn't have a lot to say, like question wise, but I will say at the very end she said something that really stuck to me, and she's like, she said something along the lines of like, I've become more comfortable in these conversations, like really just listening, and instead of like, because I have like a million questions, but I think I've learned a lot more from just listening to their perspectives. And I think that's like, that speaks volumes to hear like Janine's story, and the way that she's like faithfully following Christ even in the midst of her suffering. And then Kaylin, who does not have an illness or anything that's like physically entangling her, and has chosen to not follow Christ, but just like seeing the tension and like the difference between that I feel like that really intrigues her, because I think she can see it, even if she doesn't quite get it all the way. She sees how powerful that is, and I think that is so cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad that those seemed like the perfect amount of people, and like to be a part of that conversation.
What were like an episode that comes to mind to you?
I just listened to it again recently, but it was the one with Melissa Dorothy is how you say her last name. Where she talked about New Age and New Thought.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because a lot of those, like, she talked about like, oh, like this is actually New Age, this is actually New Thought, like they're different things. And what really stuck out to me is the fact that she talked about how New Thought is in a way like more dangerous to Christianity than New Age.
Yeah.
And I had never thought about it in that way, just because there are some parts of New Thought that can like look like totally fine in Christianity and like totally fine in church, totally fine in school.
I think there's even like some Christianese talk that's New Thought that we're like, oh, that sounds like it's from the Bible, and it's completely not, and it's that's why it's like so slippery, because it looks like it's Christian, but it's really not.
Yeah, I also see a lot of those like patterns or habits or topics, like methods, I guess, of like New Thought on social media a lot with like Christian influencers. So that was really interesting to hear, like point them out and be like, this is not Christianity, this is something different. And I don't know, like when she was describing it, like you could tell how like much it kind of like weighs on her, like the knowledge of it, and how many like different people like must fall for that and like just be totally just be like totally attributing that to Christianity. And what stuck out to me a lot about that was when Sarah said, like, you pointed out to me like how narrow the way actually is. And that's just like something that I think like as Christians sometimes might not realize, like how many things are you practicing in a day that are actually not what you would like believe in without realizing. So yeah, I don't know, I found that really interesting.
I was just having a conversation with a friend yesterday, kind of around the topic of like Christian influencers or people that look like they play the part really well, like they wear Christian merch, they kind of know they know enough to like look like they're following Christ, but it like I think at the core it's very surface level, or it's more for clout, more for like, because right now being a Christian is cool, but there's like really like the way of Jesus, it's really not though, like and I feel like there's definitely something there where I think something got lost in translation, where they focus a lot more on the love, you know, like Jesus loves everybody, and that's true, but they're like completely missing out that the whole point of following Jesus is to die, like the suffering that comes with it. And one, they're not like highlighting that because, well, that's like not popular, it won't go viral, you know. But at the same time, it's like they're giving people like a false idea of what Christianity actually is. Oh, going back to like the dangers of like New Thought, when she was describing some of them, I honestly I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm just like, I've heard that either that phrase or something like that so much, and I've like honestly never dug into it because it sounds right. It sounds right, but it's not biblical. Like it's not biblical like at all. Do you remember like some of the things that she said?
I know one of the things she said was like affirmation. And that, and like speaking things into existence was another one that she talked about. And I think affirmation was really interesting because I see that a lot with like Christian influencers that I'll say like, oh, my like daily affirmations, and like sometimes like it is good to remind yourself of that, but I wonder how much of it is like too far or like just a little bit off that you don't like realize it. And then I also thought what you said was interesting, that it's like right now it's like it's cool to be a Christian, and it's weird because I feel like there was like a point in time when it was like
being Christian wasn't cool.
Being a Christian like way back when, like in America, was like normal, and then it was like, oh, it's actually like not cool to be a Christian, and then now we're in like another time where like, especially as young people, it is to be a Christian, and like I almost wonder like how much that waters it down for it to like become of a more cultural like thing, that like, oh, like it's good to be a Christian, and like these influencers are all saying that they're Christian, but like how deep does their faith actually go?
That's a good point. I think I've heard this, like, you know, like a pendulum swing, like how it swings one way and then the other. I think like the generation before, so like millennials leaned completely the opposite way, where they were like either atheists or like agnostic, did not put God first at all. And I think, I mean, there's a lot of our generation that were being raised by that generation that were like, no, they were like there was a hunger for more, even though they didn't know what that was. And I think that's where it like went the other way. But I think I like what you said, that I think it in a way, even though that hunger is there, and there's some people that are genuinely following Christ, like there's definitely a pool of those people, but I think overall, like when like you put it into perspective, how many of them are actually like picking up their crosses like every day? probably a really small majority.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really sad. Like when you look at just like the state of the church, even just like the American church that we're in, it's really sad to see like what like really small percentage of that is actually following Jesus. And then what's even sadder is that most people think they are following Jesus, but they're not.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because they fully think that they're like, okay, now I'm saved, I'm good. But they're like not doing anything about it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like they think their salvation is like just a prayer, but it's like, no, it's a daily walk, daily picking up your cross.
Yeah. I also wonder, like, I don't know how far off topic this is, but
we can go whatever.
There's like a book that I read, and I'm not going to remember which one it was, but they were talking about how important it is to understand who God is as a being to your Christianity. And for the longest time, like, especially like for myself, like I couldn't like sit there and define like who God is.
Yeah.
And then like it takes a lot of like work to like figure it out and like figure out truth versus like what isn't true. And also like when there's a whole bunch of like influencers that are Christian or like I don't know, like popular sermons, popular pastors that talk about it. And if they're off base, they're leading a lot of people to worship a God that isn't
it doesn't
the right
exist.
one.
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
I agree.
So that's very interesting.
I just heard a message. Do you know who Michael? I forget his last name. I can't say it, but he's from Jesus Image in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who he is?
I've heard of Jesus Image.
Jesus Image. Yeah. I love that church. Like worship wise, so good, and they preach like they don't get off topic. Like I feel like they really like just get it, like where they really just like preach Jesus. And he did a conference, and I listened to that message, and it was called like More of Jesus, and he was basically talking about that, like how I think even in Christianity, it's like dead religion where like they like you'll see like these mega churches or even just churches in general do like a sermon series on like passages in the Bible, which is not bad, but they'll like barely mention Jesus. There's like the whole point is Jesus. Right. Literally the whole point is Jesus. So like and he also talked about like the importance like about like losing your life, and I think that's like a big part of like going back to the Christian influencers that they don't like get because they love their lives. It looks like they love their lives and they haven't lost it yet, but there's a verse in the Bible that says like when you lose your life you find it. And then I'm like, there are so many people that like genuinely enjoy their lives, and it's like that's a huge problem because that's not what we're called to. Yeah
I wonder, and also like when things start to become like feeling like it is going with the culture, I feel like it's missing the part where like God calls us to be like set apart. And if Christianity is completely matching culture, it doesn't feel like you're getting the whole point. Like you must be missing something.
Okay, I want to talk about that's a great segue into this topic because I've thought about this so much, but about compromise. I think even in Christian circles, and I've been a part of this, I've like witnessed this firsthand, and it makes me so sad. Because I think for like in high school, my high school days, I just didn't have Christian friends because there wasn't really anybody that was following Jesus. So I'd pray intentionally for Christian friends, and I have like a community of that now, which I'm like, I feel so blessed. But I think even in that, I've seen the way that like people that are following Jesus can compromise, and it's such a slippery like slope because I think there's this idea, probably, what's it called? Christian thought or New Thought?
New Thought, yeah.
Probably, like being set apart, right? I think they mean like what I think, because we're like if you like picture like a river, right? The world is going one way and we're going literally against the current. We're going the complete opposite way.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of times where I feel like even in Christian circles, they can compromise their values where like, we're like, well, I'm not doing anything bad necessarily, but they'll still be in places where it compromises like the like I don't know how to phrase it, but like there's also in the New Testament, Paul talks about like not letting your brother stumble or something like that, right? And so it's like if like I eat meat or something and that causes you to stumble, like I'm gonna just cut meat off like completely, right? But like, and I get the idea of that, but like let's say like a bar, for example, right? they're now a Christian, and now they're like, well, I'm not drinking anymore, but I'm still gonna go out to the bar. And it's like, let's say, like, I think there needs to be a lot of wisdom in that, because I think, especially in a small town, a small town is like, everybody will see your business.
Yes.
But I think I'm like, is it like, okay, you're not doing anything bad. That's not really even the question. But I think there is a level of wisdom that goes into that, where it's like, is that like, if you going to the bar, is that making your brother stumble, or like, is it making other people question your value? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's like a huge teller. And if they're not willing to like lay that down, I think that exposes a big part of their hearts, where it's like they still kind of want the fleshly desires, right. Or like, I still want to have fun, I want God, but I also want the world. And that's not how it works. Like, right. He's either everything or he's absolutely nothing. You know?
Yeah, it's very all or nothing. There was a part of John Noyes' episode where he talked about how he grew up not having many Christian friends, and then he like corrected himself, and he was like, actually, I did have Christian friends, but they didn't seem any different than my other friends.
Wait, I'm gonna start using that. That's so good.
And I was like, I don't think it was the point.
Yeah, no, but that's so telling.
But it made me think about it, and I was like, how can you like forget? Like, imagine if like someone was like talking about you, and they like forget that that's a big part of you, or like they don't know.
Yeah.
And that was just like, how far has like just being able to like say, yeah, I'm a Christian, not changed the rest of your life at all, to the point where people forget that they have Christian friends.
That's so crazy. It kind of like, again, it kind of goes back to just like the appearance of being a Christian. It's like, but if your life doesn't reflect anything that you're different, or like that people can see Christ in you, then it doesn't matter what you call yourself. Like, there needs to be a true change in your heart. And like, people can see it. It's crazy how even non-believers can see whether you're the real deal or not. Yeah. And that should be scary for all Christians.
Because I feel like that's where you get like the most clearest like pictures from, in a way, from non-believers, because they're not like, I don't know, they don't know, they're not necessarily biased. What you're supposed to like do. Yeah. And if they look at like you versus like another Christian, like, are they gonna remember that you're a Christian, or are they gonna say like, oh, like they say they're a Christian, but like, they didn't act any different? It's just crazy. Yeah,
it's pretty insane. And that makes, I don't know, that makes it like, I think probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten, I think this is probably like pretty high up on my list. It had nothing to do with like me at all, but it's like, this came from one of my friends. She's Moroccan, so she grew up Muslim, which is really cool. And she became a Christian here. She did an exchange year her junior year, and then her host family, that's why I have like such a cool connection with Janelle, because I'm like, that my friend literally, that's how she got saved, which is really cool. But she did an exchange year in Federal Way. And her host family were Christians, and they led her to the Lord, which is really cool. And then she finished out her senior year in Morocco, and then she came back and she got like a student visa, and she did university here, and that's where I met her. But one of the best, because I saw her wrestle with like, she was all in on God, but at the same time, for her, following Christ meant like way heavier than it ever will to me. Like, because like, she could honestly like have gotten killed, like if she went back to Morocco. So like with hers, it was way more weighty. So I understood like the wrestle. She's like, she was really counting the cost. And I totally respected that, because I'm like, for you, like, it is that big of a deal. Like, it is all or nothing. Like, you could actually lose your life. But one of the things that she said to me, she's, because we went to a Christian university, but she was really telling. She likes to see like the depths of people, and like if people are like legit or not. Yeah. And she could tell. She's like, some of these people are like funnies. Like some people that they're just like not it. And then some people are like, that's cool. And it was really interesting. Christian schools in general are just interesting. But like sometimes they can be all in for God, and you can see that God is in them and they're fully following Christ, but they also make it like kind of an act or like a performance. I've seen it a lot in worship, which is really sad. Yeah. Where they're like, being a worship leader becomes like their whole identity, or like being a pastor, like all these things. And she just like, I feel like that smell or that aroma, she's like, I don't like that. She's like, I don't like it. She's like, but going back to the compliment, she was like, you represent Christ so well. She's like when I look at you, like there's like not like all the things that I think about the people. She's like, that's not like, you genuinely represent Christ so well. And I'm like, that is the best compliment anybody could ever receive, because it's not about you. It's like Christ in you, and people can see that. People can see that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, I go to a Christian college, and I can attest it's very like, it's easy to just say you're a Christian. It's probably easier to say that and to act like it than it is to like be honest about where you actually are. Yeah. So culture changes depth a lot. I think so. Even like in different spots in like America changes it a lot. So I agree. It's really interesting.
It's really interesting. Yeah. That's like, wow, that was good. Okay. One more. We'll do one more. Yeah. Do you want to do the one with Joshua Lewis? Yeah. Do you want to do another one?
We can do that one.
Okay. The one with Joshua Lewis. That was my favorite one. I think, did we talk about it last time? No. Briefly.
I think we like mentioned it.
We mentioned it. Well, that was my favorite one. Frankie just listened to it. Yeah. I want to hear your thoughts. I haven't heard your thoughts yet. We can unravel a little bit, but I want to hear what you thought.
So I think,
question. Yeah. The concepts that he talked about, like deliverance or like generational curses, was that new to you?
Okay, so that was not a topic much when I grew up. It was probably in the last like a year or so that I have started hearing about it more.
Was it in college?
It was not in college.
Really?
I met some people at like a music festival.
Really? Okay.
And they were just going on and on about deliverance when they found out I was a Christian. So
they're like, finally I can talk to somebody.
It was like the first thing they asked me to. Okay. And I was like, I don't really know what that is. Yeah, yeah. But I think because of my like upbringing, I have always just been on the more side of like not understanding like spiritual realms at all, and like deliverance, like demons, any of that. I just think it wasn't really like a part of my focus, and so I didn't really think about it. Yeah. But I've been interested, but I've also been on the side of hearing people say like, don't get too into it. So it was really interesting to listen to it. And the stuff that he was saying, I think he explained everything in a way that it didn't scare me too much. Yeah.
That's something Janelle and I talked about afterwards, that because before we press record, he kind of seemed stoic. He was just like, you know, and then we got on and he got like way more comfortable. I really liked that he was funny and like really like engaging. Yeah. It made it seem like, even though the topics were kind of heavier, it made it seem like a normal conversation. And I'm like, but if somebody heard this would kind of be hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, no, I really liked his approach and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, like, I definitely do believe in like spiritual realm, deliverance and those kinds of things. I've never seen anything firsthand, so it's interesting to see like, or to listen to someone who has, and how he was talking about like the charismatic church and everything, and like Pentecostal and like the difference, because
when he described that, because I think that was the first things that he described, I was like, yeah, I never have heard like a clear definition for each of them, and I'm like, that makes so much sense. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't know charismatic was a movement. Yeah, and not like a denomination, which is super interesting.
It was interesting because I grew up Pentecostal. Okay, so that kind of realm, like, I mean, in like the denominations, Pentecostals, they're like, oh, they're the crazy ones, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, I kind of grew up like in that, so it wasn't like weird to me. Like I grew up like saying like probably heavier things at like at age 5, and it was like normal to me. Yeah. And I've definitely seen the toxic side of that too, though. Believe me. But that wasn't like weird to me. Like I think there's a lot to learn though, because I'm like, okay, I saw that, I know it's real, but like, how do I make sense of that? You know? So like, I'm like, I was also a child. So. Yeah. Oh shoot, what was I trying to say with this? Oh, it was interesting hearing his definition, because I'm like, no, I've definitely seen how like the Pentecostals have, like, I see the heart behind it, but at the same time, I feel like it has done some damage. Also, with just like my heart for ministry, I hate the like denominations in general. Like I just strip that back. That's like probably in the church my biggest like ick. Like I hate that we've categorized this into denominations. Like that's literally the whole point of Valley Collective, to just like strip away the denominations and just focus on like what we all agree on. And it's Jesus. You know? Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's one of my little rant.
No, I completely agree with that. I know it's like a side rant, but like I've had a conversation with someone who was kind of new to the faith, trying to explain like the different denominations, and they were just like looking at me like, why?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do
I'm
that?
like, you know what? I don't even know why we did that.
Yeah. And they were like getting angry, like, aren't you guys all supposed to be on the same side? And I'm like, yeah, we are, and we should be. They convinced me that it was stupid. So
yeah,
like,
no, it really is. Like, and when you look at it, that is a huge thing that the enemy has used to divide the church. Because like the church is God's number one plan to save like humanity. And if you look at the state of the church, we are like a disaster. We're fighting against ourselves. And I'm like, if I was the enemy, I'm like, I would be laughing, sitting my little butt, like just like enjoying this, because I'm like, they're not like, and I've seen the power when the church actually becomes a church, dude, we're unstoppable. Like it really, like God knew what he was doing. But it's like it would be like him to like kind of like put us against each other, and we're so focused on like the differences, which honestly like don't matter. Like they do not matter. They're like preferences, they do not matter. But like we're so focused on like the nitty-gritty of that, and like I mean they're not like necessarily bad like debates, but it's like you're missing the point. Like we're not doing what God calls us to do.
And it's there's like that one verse, and I'm gonna forget, I'm pretty sure it's in Philippians, like first chapter, where it talks about like doing all things like kind of in unity or something like that. And it's just like every time I read that I just get sad, because it's like even within like one side of like the internet, let's say, like you'll just find like different Christians who have platforms like pointing out all the different people who have like platforms, Christians, and like what they're doing wrong and everything. And there's like, it's just like sad, because it's like we're all supposed to be on the same side. Like we're not supposed to be fighting each other.
I agree. It's really sad, but God is faithful, and he's like, I think I have been like really like excited. There's like people waking up to that though, which like I'm like, thank God about time. But no, I think that's a huge thing that the enemy has used, and that's like all throughout like scripture, especially like now like the New Testament, it talks about unity and just the importance of being united with God, but then also with each other. And that goes into like another topic, but like Christians that are like following Jesus but are not like plugged into a church, they're like, oh, I can follow Christ on my own. I'm like, well, technically you can, but that's not the way that God intended it to. Like, we're a body. Like, we need each other. Like, we need community, and that's how the church and you flourish. Like, that's how it, like, I don't know. That's another one of those, like, topics that I could talk about. Because it's like, it's all but
Did anything stick out to you about
from that episode? I'm a little bit more, like, I think I've done more digging on deliverance and generational curses and all that, because that's a big part of my story. So I just kind of wanted to see his perspective on it. Like, I don't know everything, but I do know a lot. But I just wanted to hear, like, his, like, what he thought. And I'm like, oh, like, that's a good, I think he's really grounded. Like, he's, like, I definitely, in deliverance, you'll see a spectrum of people. People that are very, like, you know? And then people that are like more like I think more like, you know, like Catholics that like do like exorcisms where they're like really calm, but they get the job done. So there's like an array of people, you know, like a spectrum of people. And I feel like the word that I would use is like really grounded. He's grounded, but he does the work. So it's not like he's just like judging or criticizing. Like he's doing the work. He's grounded and he's educated. Like he knows the scriptures, and he knows, like, I'm like, I was really, because sometimes in deliverance, even in Christians, because it's not a topic that like is really talked about, they're just not necessarily that they don't believe. There's definitely a pool of people that don't believe, but there's like a hesitancy because they just don't understand. They're like, I just want to know, like, where does it say it in scripture? And I really like that he used scripture to back it up. And sometimes that's all people need. Like, they're just like, okay, just tell me what it is. Like, give me, and then it's like, oh, that makes way more sense. You know, like somebody to break it down, and that helps a ton. So I really like that. One of the things I will say that like he got me good on, but then when after the episode was done, I was like, wait a minute, no. But he was it was on like generational curses, and like how there's a lot of people that because it's part of my story, I'm really comfortable like talking about it. I've heard people like on all levels, but like there's some people that are like, I don't believe in generational curses, you know? I'm like, hey. And then he was like, would you be comfortable changing the language to generational affliction? I'm like, well, I'm like, that's a good point. I was like, he honestly like got me. I was like, that's a good point. But then when I thought about it afterwards, because afterwards, Janelle and I were talking because it was still fresh. She's like, well, if you would have said that, she's like, I would have definitely believed you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, but it is a curse.
Yeah.
I'm like, but like, it's both. Like, I knew what he was saying, and I'm like, because it was affliction, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm like, also, I think there's a level. Okay, I'm gonna put a pin on that. There's like a level, I think, of ignorance, 100% in the American church where I'm like, if you even just took a trip to Mexico, you would see witchcraft everywhere. Yeah. And that's why I was like, because my mom grew up Catholic and she grew up in Mexico. So I heard like she met Christ later on in life. So I heard stories of like literally a lady putting a curse on my grandma. And like, so like that's really real. And it like really works. And I've seen like the power of like literally like, I mean, like there's no power that is greater than Christ, but darkness does have power, limited, but he does have power. And if we don't have Christ, it overpowers us. So it's like, that's why there's such, and I also talked about, I think that was like the last question I asked on the first part was like, what would you say to somebody that's into like the other side of spiritualism? So like people that are into New Age, people that are like witches, people that do all that spiritual stuff because they're like, I'm spiritual. Stuff, you know, and it's like it's a good desire, but it's misplaced because they have like that need for more, like the craving for God, but it's misplaced. Yeah. So I have a lot of compassion for those people. But I was like, what would you say to them, like the dangers of that? Because I think people really don't see the dangers, or like they call themselves like white witches, or like people like, I'm doing good for the world. Yeah. Everything is so good. But I'm like, what would you say? And there's like in that, whenever you go through deliverance, like the answer is always Jesus. Like you can't like there's a whole thing there, but like they need Jesus to like stay like protected and safe. And it's like it has to be genuine for sure, but it's like Jesus really is the one that will protect you and like keep you. But he said at the end, I think he said something along the lines of like, at the end of the day, like the enemy, like he'll give you power, but it's not without cost. Like it'll always cost you. Like at some point he, like, it can be good for now, it can be good for a season, but he'll come back and he'll be like, okay, time to pay up with your health, with nightmares, with literally anything. Like he loves to play like that game where he's like, okay, I'm gonna use you for my benefit, but at the same time I'm gonna also screw you over. So it's like that he doesn't have any good intentions for you. Like he'll use you, at the same time abuse you. So it's like, I think I really liked what he said about that. Like he mentioned a story of like a witch he found on like a Facebook thing, like group chat or whatever. He's like, I'm not judging you, but like whenever you start having like nightmares or like crazy things happen, give me a call because you'll need it. And I'm like, yeah. So anyways, I kind of forgot my point, but anyways, that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've definitely heard stories like from people that are close to me, like people I super trust, like growing up, that have told me about like kind of like this like spiritual affliction or like sort of like experiences because they got into things like that. Yeah. And it's like over and over, like people are realizing that like once you cross like this line or like start doing this type of thing, you start getting like basically punished by whatever you're dealing with. Yep. And it's just interesting because that's why I'd never be on the side of like, oh, none of this happens. Yeah. Because like I know people who have been like seriously affected by it. Yeah. And it's like a big part of their story, and they'll like attest to how it happened to them.
Yeah. And I think that's so unfair when you're just like, oh, I don't believe in that, or like don't even give the person a chance to like either share their story, like their experience with it, because it completely disregards like everything that they've gone through. And like I think it's the easy way out. It's like, well, and then some people, this is what like one of the things I hate, but some people are like, my discernment is just saying that like it's just not right. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, check it again, because that's definitely wrong. Yeah. You know, so I really like, even if you don't understand it, I really respect people that can have a conversation about it and be open with their doubts. but not just completely close the door
Yeah.
on those, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like definitely like, I mean, everything in truth. So it's like,
Yeah.
I respect that people are like trying to be like making sure that these things are true. But then there's also like, yeah, people have experienced wild things that you're just like, okay, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of people that like, as I feel like crystals, like being like witches or anything was like kind of a trend for like a while.
Oh yeah.
And I've met a couple people that said they were like on that trend. They got like too deep into it, and that's how they became a Christian.
Yeah.
Was because of their like crazy experiences where they're like, hey, this was supposed to be like kind of a joke. Like,
no, and that's like crazy because I don't think we realize the dangers of like maybe like in ignorance. I feel like because one of the things that is a big open door that people do literally for like sleepovers, it's like doing the what's it called, the Ouija board, and it's like, oh, this will be so fun, like a Friday night, girls' night, whatever, and it's like that opens the door to the rest of your life being like demonically attacked. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's actually quite terrifying. So
there's it's crazy because it's also young too.
Yeah, and so you don't know until I've heard so many stories because I'm like I just love to be educated on them. I've heard a lot of stories of like people later in life where they receive deliverance, and then the person that's leading them through the deliverance, they either get a word of knowledge. That's also really cool about deliverance. You really get to see the gifts of the Holy Spirit come to life because you'll get either like a word of knowledge or something that like guides along the path, and I think that's so cool because you can see God so present in that. Anyways, that's it. Besides the point. Anyways, that was just a good conversation. What was I saying? People, the experiences that I've heard, or like testimonies of people that have received deliverance like later in life, let's say like 30 or 40, and then they get a word of knowledge that something happened when they were like 13 or something, and then it's like, oh, I was playing a Ouija board, and it's like it all like makes sense, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like you do it like because you don't know any better. You're just like a kid, but at the same time I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Like,
I mean, if we like, the enemy is like taking anything like
he doesn't play fair, and
it doesn't matter that you're too young to understand.
Yes, he doesn't play fair. And then there's also a verse in the Bible that says like, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Is it knowledge, right? I think it's lack of knowledge. Yes,
or like ignorance in some
and it's like you see that all over. It's like some like there's, I think now that I know more and I know better, I think whenever I hear even Christians say that, I'm like, oh no, that's way off. Like no. Like and I'm like, it's that verse just really, it's really telling because it's like people are perishing because they just don't understand or they just don't know. But I'm like, that's why it's important to like really, and that's why you have to like really walk the walk in the Christian walk. Like you can't, there's like no room to not live it in every aspect of your life. Like there's so many Christians that don't read their Bible. That's so sad. And I'm like, how are you gonna, that's your sword, that's how you're gonna fight back. So anyways, that was a whole lot. Anything else from that episode that you stood out to you?
I think those are the main things.
I
just want to know more. Like
it just like started
the intro part of it. So
it just opened the door for you. Well, definitely I feel like that's funny that I was the one that brought it up to Janelle. So like I feel like I was the one that took that direction for this podcast, but I think it's made like it's opened the conversation, and I'm really happy about that. And I think we'll probably have him again next time, which is exciting.
That'd be so exciting.
And we can ask him more questions. So that'd be good. I will say this, we can wrap up with this, but this was a really cool part of like the story that I don't think listeners got to hear, but with his friend Michael Miller. Remember I shared that other retreat? So basically after our conversation with Joshua Lewis, that was like a lot of what he answered were my questions, and they were towards the end of the season. So we prayed like very intentionally for all of the questions and everything, and mine was really not getting answered. Like we could not find anybody that like found that would answer those questions. And Janelle tried really hard. I really admire her for like really trying and really being persistent. But if I'm being so honest, I thought whoever she was gonna get was gonna be really vanilla, like really like I'm like, oh, I don't know about the Janelle, but I was really like, I really liked him, so he was great. But that was just such a cool answer prayer to me. And it felt like Janelle said this. She's like, it felt like a kiss from the Lord to you. And I'm like, I know. But that was at the end of May, I think. And then the first week of June, I was going to a retreat. And two of our co-hosts, Christy and Janine, their family was hosting a group of pastors in their house. They live on the other side of the lake. But they were hosting a group of pastors. I think they've hosted them now for like 3 or 4 years. And it's like young pastors, like in their 30s. It's kind of like a little brotherhood. They just kind of like, they take the weekend or something to just like refresh and like really bond and just kind of like go away from the world. And I think they've always come around this time of year. So they were expecting guests. And then, but I think this year was the first year that they had like an older pastor come and like speak life into them. And I don't think they'd ever done that. I don't think Christy ever told me about that. But it was cool because after both of our retreats were done, I got coffee with Christy and I got to hear her story about how all that went. And then I got to tell her about the interview with Joshua Lewis. And it was so cool how God just like made this happen because we're all interconnected. It's so cool. But basically, the pastor that was coming to minister to these group of pastors, his name is Michael Miller. He's Joshua Lewis. They're part of the Remnant Radio, so they're buddies. They're literally friends. And it was cool how I got to talk to Joshua Lewis, and Michael Miller, his buddy, literally stayed at Christy and Janine's house, which is insane. And that has, because Janine is like chronically has a chronic illness, she's taken both routes. She's taken like the medical route, and she's also taken like the spiritual route. Like I've been in a deliverance session with her, this whole thing. Michael Miller did like deliverance on, I think on her. I'm not quite sure. I didn't hear the full story, but I know for sure the pastors, and it was wild. Which I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But I'm like, at some point I would love if like we could all do something in person. That would be the coolest thing ever. Or if they came to like the Ruby and did that live, that would be cool. That would be a different like topic wise, not like really apologetics, but more like spiritual stuff. But that would be, I feel like people, especially if we did like an open mic too, people would have cool questions.
People would definitely have more questions about that. I feel like it's also just become like so much more like front and center too. That especially in media too. Like I know
because it's not hidden anymore. It's like
it's
the devil
like
is out and about.
Talk about that anymore. Which I feel like maybe it was for a long time. Just like you know, that's a little bit too spiritual.
Yeah. So I agree. Now it's
a topic.
It's a topic for sure. We'll put a pin on that because I would love for that to and I'm the one that's like, I think it was like 2 years ago, I was like, we should have a live podcast. So we're putting a pin on this because this will happen. Well, stay tuned. We'll stay tuned. But I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.